This was, kind of an expensive video to make. Over the past couple of months, I've become a fan of the Criterion Collection. I've been kinda looking into it and have been, I guess, become a member of the Criterion cult. These are people that are kind of smitten by the Criterion Collection and want to buy almost anything and everything they put out. I've been watching all these videos of these filmmakers going into the Criterion Closet, which most of us who are film fans consider the mecca of movies, as it is like this massive closet with nothing but fucking movies from head to toe. It is a glorious place that all of us want to go to. And Criterion likes to invite filmmakers and directors and actors and all these people who are in the film industry to come down and talk about some of their favorite movies and some of the movies that have actually influenced them in their time in the movie making business. I have been watching these videos quite a bit. I love them. I've watched almost every video of every person that I enjoy in the film industry. Uh, and I started to think, hey, why don't I watch some of the movies that a lot of these people suggest or pick out of the Criterion Closet to kind of see what type of movies influence them in their time in the film industry. That way I can kind of understand like what influences them and in turn what might influence me since I actually want to get into the industry as well. So I figured, hey, why not pick one of a filmmaker that I actually enjoy, that I love their movies, and see kind of what type of movies they would select out of the Criterion Closet and watch them and see what I think of them. So I decided to select the Kevin Smith video. He picked quite a few movies out of the Criterion Closet, and I went and purchased all of the movies, which, by the way, was not cheap. And then I turned around and watched them. Um, and let me tell you, he had some good selections. A couple that I've already seen before, then a couple that were a few blind spots, and I was ready to definitely sit down and watch a lot of these great movies and kind of figure out which ones I would like, which ones I wouldn't. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's talk some movies. So the first movie that he selected in the Criterion Closet is widely considered one of the best movies of all time. And like I said, there's a couple movies in here that are definitely going to be blind spots for me, even though this one probably shouldn't be a blind spot. Most certainly is. I don't know if it was because I'm rather intimidated by the movie, or I was at the time, or if it just didn't kind of pique my interest, even though everyone and their brother who is like a nerd for film has always said, "Hey, you should probably watch Citizen Kane. It's one of the best movies of all time." And I had put it off for a very long time until I recently purchased the 4K release or 4K remaster of Citizen Kane from Criterion, and I sat down for what is it, like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours of this movie in black and white from the 40s that I never thought that I would actually enjoy, um, and I loved every second of it. The story itself is a lot more complex than I initially thought. Um, you have this kid who seems to be rather happy in the life that he was living, with his very poor family, and then was thrust off to this older, rich guy who he doesn't know, and his parents seem to not want him, or at least one of his parents seem to not want him, and lives this lavish lifestyle with this guy that he doesn't know who just ends up adopting him at some point in his life. And he knows nothing about this guy for a while, kind of resents his parents for, you know, doing this to him, and ultimately resents the man who adopted him because he doesn't like the situation that he's in, and keeps telling this man that he is going to do everything in his power to become the very opposite of what he sees in front of him. But as time goes on, as power keeps corrupting him, as money keeps flowing in, as he becomes more and more successful, he does the exact opposite. He ends up becoming more and more and more like this man than he would like to admit. And as time goes on in the movie, it becomes quite evident that that is the case, as he's basically buying people's affection with money, becoming more cold, and he's just becoming more distant. And they show that quite amazing ways for a movie that's done in the 40s. Like I said, it's far more complex than I initially thought it would be. I put the writing off as possibly being too simplistic or not good enough. I mean, it's Orson Welles. I probably shouldn't have made that, assumption. That was probably a dumb assumption on my part. It was definitely a great movie to watch. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Despite it being in black and white, I don't really care about it being black and white. I found a lot of movies that are in black and white are actually fairly good. This is one that really opened up my eyes to the possibility that movies from that time period are actually good, and it has kind of launched a newfound love for movies in that time period, or at least good ones, or what others perceive to be good ones in that time period. I definitely need to watch more movies from that time. It was really good. I love the hell out of it. It's definitely gonna be one that I'm gonna watch a couple times. I may not watch it, over and over and over again, but it's gonna be one that I'm definitely gonna revisit eventually. Because I'm sure that, if I revisit it another time, I'm gonna find something in that second watch through or that third watch through that I did not find in the first one. Where, there's so many different metaphors in this movie. There's so many different connections that you can make as far as the relationships between Kane and his adopted parent, and Kane and his, ex-wives, Kane and his employees. There's so many different connections and so many different experiences that are shown on screen in that entire runtime that you won't be able to catch within the first viewing. You may have to go back and watch it a second or a third time to be able to kind of pick up on the subtle nuances of the script, of the screenplay, of even the cinematography, because there's a lot of things in there that I didn't catch that weren't necessarily punch me in the face in the writing, but I caught on screen and kind of made me go, "Oh shit, I didn't notice that before." Yeah, it's definitely one that I'm gonna have to go back and watch again just to see kind of what I pick up on the second go around that I didn't pick up on the first time. I love this movie. I will continue to watch this movie. It's great. Yeah, if you haven't watched this movie and you consider it to be a blind spot of yours and you're kind of intimidated by it, don't be. Just watch it. Put it on. If you can find it on some sort of physical release, either by Criterion or a different publishing company, and you can watch it that way, or even streaming. I guess you can watch it that way. But definitely give it a shot. It's definitely worth the time sitting down and watching this movie. Man, Deep Cover is yet another blind spot. It was one of the movies I had never heard of before. I knew nothing about Deep Cover. The only time I had heard about it was whenever Kevin Smith actually suggested it, and he picked it out in the Criterion Closet. I've never heard of this movie. I didn't know Lawrence Fishburne was in it. I didn't know Jeff Goldblum was in it. I had no idea what it was about, when it was released, what it was, nothing. And even whenever I went and watched this movie and I purchased it to watch it for this video, I didn't watch a single trailer. I didn't read up on what it was about. I just took Kevin's word for it. I popped it in and I watched it. And again, no surprise, no shocker here. I loved it. It was great. It's definitely a movie that I think should be talked about more. It's one of those like movies that I don't think gets enough credit in the way that it talks about corruption and someone's ability to deal with corruption. It's a movie that definitely needs to be talked about more because it's a movie about a man who's trying to keep true to himself despite having all these opportunities to be corrupted in every which way. You have all these outside forces who are kind of coming in to corrupt you and make it to where you're going to be on their side and not do the job that you're supposed to do by being an undercover cop, which Lawrence Fishburne plays an undercover cop in this movie, and he ends up working with or for technically it's with Jeff Goldblum in this massive cocaine drug operation within the city of Los Angeles. He gets very close to being fully corruptible, and it's a very fun ride because his father was that way in the beginning of the movie. His father was shot and killed in front of him after an attempted robbery of a store, and apparently he was like, based on what they say in the beginning of the movie, he was like this quite a bit. Um, and Lawrence's character did not want to become that at all. He wanted to be the very opposite of his dad, which is why he went into police work. And as time went on, he got closer and closer and closer to be like his father until something snapped him out of it. I'm not gonna say what. I'm gonna try not to spoil anything in any of these uh, discussions of these movies because I don't want to do that. I want you to be able to go and actually watch these movies and enjoy them for yourself. It was really well done. It was well shot. It was pretty quick. It felt really fast. Not necessarily in the pacing, but I was so like enthralled with what was going on that I didn't feel like I was sitting there watching a 2 hour movie. I felt like I was, just watching something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I do think that people should watch it. Lawrence Fishburne does a fantastic job in this movie. Jeff Goldblum obviously does a fantastic job in this movie. It's very action packed. Great. It's a very very obvious neo noir from the 90s. Um, it's great. Just give it a watch. That's really all I can say about this movie. I don't want to gush about it too much. I don't want to go crazy about it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen as far as action movies go, but it's still a lot of fun. It's still great. It would still be, it'd be worth the money that you pay to buy it and have it within your little Criterion collection. It's a great movie. Go watch it. Oh, The Prince of Tides. What can I say about this movie? Ooh, The Prince of Tides was a book that I had to read in high school. Uh, we read it in one of my AP classes, one of my AP English classes. And man, what an emotional book that was. I hadn't really read anything up until that point in my life that outside of like Where the Red Fern Grows that would make me cry or make me feel as emotional as The Prince of Tides did. It destroyed me emotionally back then. And even now, like as I've gotten older and I've had more life experiences, I've been able to connect to this story both by book and by movie far more than I did over 10 years ago. I had seen the movie once before. Like this is a rewatch for me, technically, because I had watched it back in high school, but I had forgotten a lot about The Prince of Tides, not only as a story, but just as a movie. I forgot who was in it. I forgot, a lot of key things about this movie entirely. So it was almost like a first viewing because it had been so long. Man, I just forgot how dark of a fucking movie it was. It took me for a ride. At the beginning of this year, I had dealt with a lot of stuff. My dad had died on the very first day of the year this year. And there were parts of this movie where, they were talking about being able to kind of open up about the things that are going on in life and not keeping them down, not shutting them out. That's pretty much the whole point of this movie. This man trying to live with the things that he dealt with as a kid and how to navigate it and how not to push it down and ignore it. And that's what I had been doing for quite some time, not only in things that went on in my life, but also the things that were going on at that time because I had watched all these movies, a couple weeks after dad had died merely as a distraction. Like I'm filming this in April. I watched all these movies back in January. I think mostly because, like I said, I needed a distraction. The Prince of Tides really the second time around, simply because I'd seen this man on the screen kind of navigate pain he was going through. He was unwilling to do that before. And that was something that I connected with fully. I don't really talk about the things that kind of bother me or the things that I keep down. So whenever I saw it on screen, now that I've lived a bit more of a life, it really struck a chord. And that's kind of why I like movies so much. Prince of Tides really reminded me of why I love movies and why they're so important. Because you'll be able to see things on screen that you connect with that you didn't think that other people would understand. And a lot of times you feel like you're alone. You don't necessarily know if other people understand the way you're feeling, whether or not other people have felt the same way you're feeling. And then a movie like Prince of Tides comes on and you see that a lot of people might know what you're going through. It was quite nice to be able to see that. So yeah, I think Barbara Streisand for directing it in the way that she did. I'm glad that I watched this movie again, despite it being very fucking dark. in it being quite of a Debbie Downer. It's kind of just a reassurance to know that other people go through a lot of the same stuff that you go through too. You don't have to like feel like you're alone a lot of the time. It's crazy that a movie can do that for you. If you're not in a good headspace at the time, I probably wouldn't watch it on that particular day. I'd wait until you're kind of in a good headspace. I wasn't necessarily in the greatest of headspaces. I tried to act like I was, kind of what the point of this movie is. And yeah, that's why it kind of struck me a lot harder than I initially thought it would. Um, but definitely give it a watch. If you're going through something, it's gonna be hard to watch. Don't get me wrong. It will be. You know, you might feel like someone understands. That's why I love it so much. It's a great movie. It's a very sad movie. It's a good one. Hollywood Shuffle. Um, there's not much I really want to say about this movie. Uh, blind buy, very much a blind buy for me. Knew nothing about Hollywood Shuffle. I had not heard of it prior to this movie or prior to this video. I didn't know it was a satire, like at all. I had not watched the trailer. I had not done anything. I just purchased it and waited for it to come in. It didn't take me very long to realize it was a satire. And once I did, I was like, oh, okay. I know what I'm in for. No, I'm not necessarily in for anything too crazy. Um, but I should be able to have a lot of fun with this. And I did. I had a lot of fun with it. I get what they were saying. It took me a minute to kind of realize that because I don't live a lot of the experiences that um these actors and these directors and these screenwriters talk about. For those of you who don't know, Hollywood Shuffle is about basically the black exploitation movement within Hollywood and how uh, African American people were treated during their time in Hollywood in the early days, like not too long ago, like 80s and 90s. And it's basically a group of people who have dealt with so many different issues within the Hollywood space, kind of pointing the finger back at the people who were denying them for things and telling them that they are only fit for certain roles and fit for certain types of movies and kind of just laughing at them in their faces without them really realizing it until they had watched it back and realized, wait a minute, I think this is about us. It is very tongue in cheek. I like the way it is done. Made me laugh several times. It's a great little, you know, satire type movie. It's a good time. I think I enjoyed more of the supplements of them talking about it than I did the movie itself. Because you know, Criterion movies come with a lot of supplements and interviews and things like that. I enjoyed that portion of it more than I enjoyed the movie, honestly. Simply because they were just talking about why they made it, how they made it, the history of that is what I enjoyed more. It caused me to kind of go off and watch some documentaries about Hollywood at that time because I was curious, which I maybe is what they were going for. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. I did like it. It's not the best thing, you know. It's not my favorite out of the group, but it's not terrible. It was a fun watch. I don't think it's really anywhere that you can watch it as far as streaming goes. I think you can really only get it on through the Criterion Collection. If you can watch it, if you want to watch it, go for it. It's not a bad time. You don't feel like you're wasting your time watching this movie. It's a good movie. It's decent. Like I said, it's not the best thing I ever watched out of the entire group of movies that I watched for this, but it's not the worst thing either. Oh boy, His Girl Friday. I think this is the oldest movie out of the bunch. I think it might be a little bit older than Citizen Kane. I don't remember. Cary Grant, Rosalind Russell, killed it. Cary Grant, obviously, killer actor. Rosalind Russell killed it as well. I don't think I had seen anything with her in it. I doubt it because this is my first like foray into older movies. So I had not seen much with her in it. Cary Grant, I'd seen other movies with him in it, and he's always done a great job. But their chemistry on this movie, I don't know if they got along well together on set, but their chemistry was fantastic in this movie. Just constantly back and forth, pinging off of each other like it's nothing, almost like it's a ping pong game. It's crazy. The writing was nowhere near as simplistic as I thought it was going to be for a movie that came out at this time. Concept is fairly simple. You know, a man is in love with this woman who he is no longer together with. She comes and tells him, "Hey, I'm going off to go get engaged to this other guy in a different place. They used to work together. Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell's character, they used to work together. Um, she tells him, "Hey, I'm going off to go marry this other guy," and Cary Grant's character is not having it, and he wants to do what he can to, win her back, basically. It's a fairly simple story, but it's executed quite well. Does everything in his power by saying, "Hey, maybe we can write one more story together," because they work at a newspaper agency together. Maybe we can write one more story together. And he frantically pushes to try and find a story for them to write together so they can spend more time together. And so hopefully he can convince her not to go off and marry this guy that he knows nothing about. And it's really just his way of trying to win her back. And it just gets crazier and crazier as the time goes on. And the writing is very fast and quick witted, and the comedic timing is perfect, and the writing is great. It's a fantastic movie. It's a lot of fun. I watched it at the time. I had not purchased this physical version of the movie. I need to go back and watch it on the physical because I had watched it through streaming, through Prime Video, and I kind of regret that. I wish I had waited until I had gotten it physically because there were so many different tears. There were so many different quality of life issues through the streaming portion of the movie that it made it very kind of hard for me to enjoy it to its fullest extent. Again, and I enjoyed the movie. It's great. It's awesome. It's definitely one that I'm gonna throw on, introduce to other people who are willing to watch older movies of this time period, who are willing to watch movies, in black and white. I love it. I may even give it a rewatch here pretty soon, just so I can get the full experience of His Girl Friday on a smooth, watch through, because like I said, whenever I watched it on streaming, it was not all that smooth. I had a lot of hiccups, I had a lot of problems, but all around, movie is fantastic. Writing is great. It's very intelligent. It's a far more intelligent than I was initially going to give it credit for. This movie and Citizen Kane are two movies that made me open my eyes to go and watch older movies of the same time period. I'm gonna go give it a watch again eventually. If you haven't given it a watch, you should change that. Very, very, very good movie. I really don't know what else to say about it. It's just really good. Man, do I love baseball movies. There's very few baseball movies that I can watch and not enjoy. Yes, that includes you. Baseball movies are gonna be great to me regardless of what they are, what they entail, who's in it, whatever, because I just love the sport of baseball. I've loved baseball since I was a kid, and in turn, I love baseball movies. Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, Rookie of the Year, Rookie, like all these types of movies that I've watched growing up and grown to love. Uh, Bull Durham is another one of those movies. It's also one of the movies on the list that I'd watched before. I've watched a couple times before, actually. So this is probably my third viewing of this movie. I'll throw it on every once in a while just to watch a baseball movie because, like I said, I love baseball movies, and Bull Durham is one of the best of them. You got a man who is played by Kevin Costner, who's kind of getting older in his life, and he's still stuck in uh, I believe, if I remember correctly, Durham. Yeah, no, Durham Bulls. They're a AAA affiliate. Um, I can't remember who they're an affiliate of, but he's stuck within the AAA farm team. Um, with within minor league baseball, and he has not been able to kind of come up and make his way into the majors, due to his performances. He's kind of peaked at the time at the Durham Bulls in Carolina, and has not made his way up. And it is something that is kind of eating away at him. He doesn't know necessarily what he needs to do, how he needs to do it, and he's become hardened over the years because he just feels like he's kind of lost. He doesn't outwardly say this, but you can obviously see it on his face and the way that he talks to people, especially the way he talks to uh, other teammates. He's got this new kid who comes in, uh, who is this hotshot pitcher who comes in and just starts wailing baseballs around uncontrollably, has no idea what he's doing, gets nervous, but has potential. And he's kind of Kevin Costner's character is tasked with kind of reining this kid in, um, making it easier for him to kind of make it to the majors because this is like their franchise player that they're hoping to cultivate and bring up through the farm system. And he Kevin Costner's character feels very like kind of let down by this because he was like, "Hey man, like I want to go up to the majors too. This is something that I've wanted to do. I don't understand why I can't do it, but you want me to babysit this kid that doesn't really know what he's doing. Uh, this is kind of crazy." So he kind of shows um this kid like tough love through his time with the Durham Bulls and tries to cultivate him in the best way that he possibly can, but he's not putting his best foot forward because he doesn't necessarily want to do it. And it's very obvious that he doesn't want to do it. And then he comes across this woman played by Susan Sarandon, who is awesome in this movie. I love Susan's character in this movie. She's great. Um, she kind of tries to do the same thing, where she tries to help out these players in the best way that she can. She feels that she is the glue of the Durham Bulls organization, and that she's kind of the whole reason that they perform in the way that they do because she'll go and visit players who are in what they call slumps. Slumps are all, mental. They affect the way that you play, and she feels that she can get players out of their slumps by, either by sleeping with them or by, just hanging out with them, even to kind of boost their morale and then in turn, turn around the performance of the Durham Bulls as a whole. She comes across Kevin Costner's character. They play hard to get with each other. Crash has a hard time kind of figuring out how he must navigate dealing with Nuke, who's played by Tim Robbins, who you would know from Shawshank and all these other great movies that he's been in. He has a hard time figuring out how to navigate that relationship with Nuke. Because of that, he then puts himself in a slump, which then he goes to Susan Sarandon's character because that's all he can think about. They have this very interesting dynamic together. It's a fun little, cat and mouse type dynamic that you see on screen with those two. All around, just a great movie. If you like baseball movies, if you like movies with two people who can't necessarily decide whether or not they want to be with each other or not, dramatic movies, has a bit of comedy in there too, but all around a good time. I like it. Susan Sarandon is great in this movie. Kevin Costner obviously great in this movie. Tim Robbins plays a very fun character, and I enjoy his performance as well in this. Go give it a watch. It's fun. Slacker. This is a movie that Kevin Smith has talked about ad nauseum. Um, he's talked about it so much. It's kind of crazy. It's the movie that he says kind of made him realize that he too could become a filmmaker. And honestly, I get that. I understand that. This movie is the most simplistic of the bunch. It's merely a guy who grabs a camera, grabs a bunch of people within the area of his hometown or whatever, and it goes, you know what, we're just gonna film what would be considered everyday conversations in a small town like this. He just constantly follows the people who are in this town, just having their day to day conversations, and they're all over the spectrum. These conversations range from, conspiracy theories to, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? They're all over the place. I don't know if I would necessarily consider this a, a movie. By definition, I guess it is. It's not the best watch. I wouldn't even say it's the worst of the bunch, but it's not my favorite. I had seen it before. This is the second time I watched it. I was trying to see if I could, you know, notice anything different in this watch through that I hadn't noticed before. But no, not really. It's all the same. It's one of those movies that once you watch it once, you've pretty much seen it, and that's really all you need to do. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, Richard Linklater is awesome. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have School of Rock. Love School of Rock. He also has done Boyhood and a ton of other great movies. This was just his stepping stone to be able to get into the industry, and I love that for him. I love the fact that it exists for that reason, because we get all these other movies that are fucking fantastic. We get Dazed and Confused. If it wasn't for Slacker, we wouldn't have Dazed and Confused at all. So I am not knocking Slacker for that reason. It's just not my favorite of the bunch. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed everything else. It is kind of slow. It is very, very slow. You can kind of tell that these guys who were in it weren't necessarily traditional actors. They were probably people who were either friends of Richard or people who were in like drama classes in the area and they just wanted something to do. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. If you need that kind of thing for your movie just to get it done, yeah, that's cool. And a lot of people made it seem pretty natural, and a lot of others didn't. They made it seem like they were reading something off of a piece of paper or a teleprompter. And again, that's perfectly fine. But it's like I said, it's not my favorite of the bunch. Will I watch it a third time? I don't know. Am I happy that I have it? Just so I can at least go back and watch the supplements, the things that are, the behind the scenes and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. It's cool. I may watch it with the commentary one time just to kind of see what Richard Linklater is was thinking back then and how he feels that this movie shaped his career. But other than that, it's not my favorite watch of the punch. I like that I watched it in this little challenge, if you call it that, in this little group of movies. But I think you should watch it if you want to get into the industry because it definitely made me feel like if this, you know, uh can be shown in movie theaters, then I most certainly can make something that can be shown in movie theaters. And that's exactly what Kevin Smith was talking about whenever he talks about this movie. And that's why he brings it up so often. It's because movies like that and movies like Clerks really show that independent filmmaking can really kickstart a career in the industry. And that's why it really holds a special place in Kevin's heart. And I understand that now more than I did, whenever I heard him talking about it a long time ago. But yeah, it's a good movie. Decent. Not the best, but not the worst. I don't feel like you need to watch it, but if you want to, go ahead, throw it on. You can kind of just throw it on in the background and still kind of catch what the gist of the movie is. You're not gonna miss a lot if you're, doing something else in the background. But yeah, that's Lacquer. Yeah, so all these movies, there's a ton of movies that I thoroughly enjoyed. I love Citizen Kane. I love Deep Cover. Love Prince of Tides. Love Bull Durham. I am glad I did this because it made me reach out into other movies that I may not have watched prior, just based off of a suggestion from somebody else who has worked in the industry before. And I wish I had watched a lot of these before. I wish I hadn't pulled the trigger or waited so long to pull the trigger on Citizen Kane, but I'm glad that doing something like this is what caused me to finally watch it. I will definitely do something like this again. I don't know if I'm going to purchase every single movie that I watch in another one of these videos. If you want me to do another one of these videos where I talk about the movies that people in the industry select out of the Criterion Closet and watch them and kind of give my opinion on them, um, as time goes on, these videos are going to be a little more well crafted, and my ability to speak about them is going to be a little bit better as time goes on because I'm going to get more comfortable, obviously. Um, but if you want me to talk about these movies, any of these movies, or any of the suggestions that people pull out of the Criterion Closet, let me know down in the comments down below, and I'll pull one of those videos up and give it a shot and see what movies I can learn to love after doing another one of these again. I thoroughly enjoyed this process of watching all these movies that I'd never seen before. I enjoyed kind of writing out my thoughts and ideas on these movies and what I thought about them. And I'm definitely down to do this again. So if you want to see something like this again, let me know down in the comments down below. All right, until next time, see you.